As someone who's been making educational content about nursing for the past 3 years, there's been a few questions that keep repeating themselves. So in this video, I'll be answering the top 10 nursing questions that I've gotten. So you can send this video to anyone who's interested in nursing, because literally this will be the nursing guide. The three main programs that you can study for nursing is the 1-year higher certificate in auxiliary nursing, which can only be found at a college, and you studied for a 1 year and graduate as an enrolled nursing auxiliary nurse, or what we call as ENAs. The second program is your diploma, your R17 diploma, which can also only be studied at a college, and it is done for 3 years, and you graduate as a registered nurse, but you have no majors, meaning that you won't have any of these bars, just your maroon epaulets. And the last program that you can study in South Africa is the 4-year Bachelor of Nursing, and you graduate as a registered nurse and midwife. So that's 4 years. You can only do it at a university, and that is your R174 Bachelor of Nursing. The main universities where you can study nursing is the University of the Western Cape, the University of Stellenbosch, Wits University, UJ, University of Pretoria, SMU, etc. This is the universities where you can go if you want to study a Bachelor of Nursing, the R174 program. If you want to study your diploma in nursing and your higher certificate in nursing, you need to go to colleges. Colleges are based on the province where you are at in South Africa. You can go down in my description. I'll put a link where you can find the SANG accredited nursing colleges near you. Please make sure that whatever college you're going to study at, it is accredited with SANG, because if it's not accredited, they will not give you your degree, and you will not be registered with the South African Nursing Council, and you cannot practice in South Africa. The three main subjects that you need to study nursing is firstly maths, which can either be pure maths with at least a mark of 50%, or you can do maths literacy when you need a mark of at least 60%. The next subject you need is English with a mark of at least 50%. Then you're going to need life sciences with a mark of at least 60%. And some universities will require you to have physics, so please be sure to check before you apply to that university. With all these marks, the 50%, the 60%, this is all the minimum entry requirements that you need. However, try to aim to have above the minimum requirements, because nursing is such a highly competitive program to enter into that if you're aiming for the minimum requirements, there's going to be other students that are going to have higher marks, and they will take your spot. So try to aim to get as high marks as you can. The other common question that I get is, what happens if I don't have these subjects? The main thing that I can tell you is, please try to go back to school, or you can enter adult school programs that allow you to redo your matric subjects, and you literally just need to do 3 subjects for the whole year, and then you graduate and you get your Umalusi certificate, and you can use that to apply. I know it requires at least a year of your time for you to be able to get the certificate. However, that is the quickest and the most effective way for you to get into nursing. The other option is you can apply for other programs that you can get into that are within the health sector, and you can use your credits after a year to apply back into nursing, which was what we call a transfer. However, it's not always possible because there's a high competition again to enter into the nursing program, and they only take a few students via transfer. So those are the 2 options that you have, but the best option is for you to go back to school and try to improve your marks. The cost of studying nursing varies depending on the university college that you go to. Most prices range between 30,000 to 100,000 rand. So you need to do your research, and you can get actually price quotations from each individual institution that you want to go to. So apart from the tuition fees that you have to pay, there's other costs that you have to be aware of. You can also go down in the description box. There's a link with a PDF form that I've created for you guys of all the costs that you have to consider if you're going to be going to university. These costs include your accommodation, your transportation, your uniform, food, clothes, your laptop, airtime, data, and that sort of thing. So depending on what your living situation will be like, if you're going to be traveling from another country, another province to study at this institution, that will also affect the different costs that you're going to have. But down in the description box is a basic outline of many of the costs that you need to consider. In conjunction with finding out what the costs are involved in studying nursing, you also need to figure out how you're going to be funding your studies. The main one is if you're a self-funded student. So that could either mean your parents, your guardian, someone who's really important for you is paying for your school fees, or you are paying your own school fees from your savings or while you're working part-time. Yes, you can work while you're studying nursing. It does require a bit of time commitment from you, and also having a job that is flexible enough for you to be able to attend your classes and your clinical practicals while also attending your job. So you need to have a boss that is very accommodating to you and your endeavor. The other way is through sponsors, bursaries, scholarships, and that sort of thing. Where to get scholarships? Honestly, this is a difficult thing that I've been struggling to find information regarding. You need to do your research, unfortunately. There's a lot of TikTokers on TikTok that do talk about the bursaries that they have. I'll just mention a few that I've heard. One, we've got NSFAS, but obviously we all know there's been a lot of stories regarding NSFAS and the whole funding and them no longer funding health bursaries and that sort of thing. The other one is the health bursaries within each province. So within the Western Cape, we've got the Western Cape Health Bursary. Then if you go to Gauteng, they have their own health bursary. So depending where you are in the province, you can apply for that bursary. However, you need to reside in that province, or you need to originally be from that province for you to qualify for that bursary. The other one is you can apply with Old Mutual, Sanlam, Clicks, etc. So with your Old Mutual and your Sanlam bursaries, it's usually you have to have someone that's working there for you to be able to apply for those bursaries. Or if you've got any family members that is within the government sector that is working at a public institution or university institution, usually they'll have promos, or they'll usually have deductions that they can take away from your school fees if you've got someone working within those sectors. So that is something to consider. And to my international students, unfortunately, this is where we are hit in the face, because with most of these bursaries, we really do not qualify. You can do your research, maybe you find ones that you can qualify for, but unfortunately, I went through all 4 years of my life and nothing ever came up. But if you do find something, definitely comment down below and you can share with us. Last option is you can actually find private sponsors. So this entails a few things. You can pitch to a company, a family, etc. and you tell them, I want to study nursing, can you sponsor me while I do my studies? And in return, usually they say you work for this many of hours, or you guys can organize a payment plan for you to be able to pay them back after you graduate. I actually know of a few students where they were working as care workers, so taking care of old age people and that sort of thing, and the employer would sponsor them for them to be able to study their degree, and in return they would be working for free to take care of the loved one in that family, in that company, etc. When it comes to funding for your program, you really have to be smart. You have to do your research, and you have to find ways to be able to organize your own funding. What I did was crowdfunding, where I asked people for donations. It's a very humbling experience to do, because it's not easy to admit to people that you need help. But look, if you need to help, go ahead and do it. But yeah, pretty much those are the options that you have when it comes to funding for nursing. So you've gone into nursing, you've studied, you have your degree, you've done a few years of experience. Now you want to do your postgraduate. So your postgraduate follows a few steps. You can do your postgraduate diploma, then you do your master's, then you do your PhD. For you to go into your postgraduate diploma, you need to have a degree that is at least an NQF level 8. So if you've got a Bachelor of Nursing, which is the R174 or the R425 program, then you're more than happy to go into your diploma, master's, etc. However, if you're studying the diploma in nursing, it puts you guys at a disadvantage because you're graduating at an NQF level 6. As a result, there's a few extra steps that you have to do for you to be able to specialize as a diploma holder. I'll also put down a link down below of a video that I did specifically on the diploma holders and how you guys can specialize to go further on with your career. So there are actually quite a few postgraduate diplomas that you can go into. I'll put a list here from the SANG website. So these are the ones that are accredited in South Africa that you can study for. With most of these programs, they require you to have at least 2 years of working experience in the department that you want to do your postgraduate diploma in. For example, if you're working in a maternity ward and now you want to specialize in community health, you need to have been working in a community health sector for at least 2 years. So in most cases, people will use the employers or their job to be able to fund their studies to go on further, because it's a win-win for you and your employer. One, you are increasing your NQF levels, you are furthering your studies, etc. Your employer is now getting an employee that is now educated, they've increased the NQF levels, they're more experienced, they have more knowledge and that sort of thing. That makes you a valuable worker. So it's a win-win for both the employer and the employee. So let's say, for example, you're currently working in a surgical ward, but you want to specialize in trauma, or what do they call it, ED. So what you can do is you can tell your current employer, look, I love working in a surgical ward, but I want to venture into trauma. So then they can actually transfer you to start working in a trauma unit while you're gaining experience, and after 2 years you can actually go back to school and study. So when it comes to specialization, if you're going to have your employer pay for your funding, you need to have that conversation in advance. And I know with most workplaces, they usually roll out, or they tell you, in this time period, this is when you guys put in your request to go and study, and this is the time frame that is allowed, and that sort of thing. So that is something that you have to ask during your interview, or something that you can have a conversation about with your HR department and also your unit manager in regarding of how the whole study process would work. The other interesting question that I've received is, what is a nursing salary? So according to Google, this is the current nursing salary within the Western Cape. However, salaries differ depending on a number of things. One, number of years of experience that you have. The more experience you have, the more that they're expected to pay for you, because you're more experienced in the nursing department. The other thing is the department that you're working in. There's some departments that pay you slightly more depending on the scope of practice of your role. For example, someone working in theater is paid a little bit more compared to someone working in a general ward. Maternity, there's a little bit more pay. If you're working in psychiatry, there's a little bit more pay because of, what do they call it, the endangerment settlement. It's like an extra fee that you get because you're working in such a dangerous environment such as psychiatric nursing. So that's the second thing. The third thing that affects your salary is whether you are working in government or in private. In government, you've got benefits that come with this, housing allowance, paying your medical aid and that sort of thing. Then in private, they have their own pay scale that they use, and they have different benefit packages that come with that role. So that also affects how much you're going to be getting paid. The other thing that affects your pay is the number of hours that you're working. There's some nurses that work Monday to Friday. As a result, they are not paid the weekend rate. As a result, their pay will be different. If you don't work public holidays, etc., that also affects your pay. So your actual nursing pay differs on a whole lot of things. So this is a conversation that you need to have with your HR manager when you're negotiating your salary. When you're going for a nursing interview, it's important that you do your research. Whether using Google, you're asking people what is kind of the market range of how much you're supposed to be getting paid, and actually find out if there's other nurses in the role that you want to enter into and see how much they're getting paid. I know people are a bit iffy about their salaries and that sort of thing, but it is something that you need to heavily research on before you go and negotiate your salary, because some people, they aim too low, and as a result your employer is not going to give you more than you've said. So as a result, you get paid less than you deserve. However, if you have a range that is slightly high, then you can negotiate with your employer sort of a mid-range for the both of you that works. So your salary is definitely based on a lot of different things. Also, if you're working by agency, doing locum work, part-time work, that will also affect your pay, because if you're an agency worker, you're getting paid on a weekly rate. As a result, they're paying you based on the number of hours that you work. So some weeks or some months it's more, some weeks, some months it's less, etc. So your nursing salary differs. Some people have a starting salary of 18 up to 24,000 and somewhere in between. So on the salaries, honestly, it depends on who you're speaking to and how you're negotiating your salary. The best person to go to is as a TikToker that I'm going to link down here, and you can go check out her content. She speaks a lot about nursing salaries. And the last question that I received is, what is the process of studying nursing in South Africa as a non-South African, or what we call international students? So if you are a person who is not originally from South Africa, but you did your matric in South Africa, what I'm going to be saying for the rest of this video does not apply to you because you did your matric in South Africa. However, if you're coming from any other country outside of South Africa, even Lesotho, which is within South Africa, you need to go via USAF. So you take your school leaving certificate from your original country, you send it via the university's qualification board of South Africa, and they need to evaluate your school leaving certificate from your own country, and then they need to equate it with the matric certificate that we have in South Africa. Some countries, their level of high school leaving certificate or their matric is at a lower level of the South African matric. As a result, they would need to have a few extra subjects or go via adult high school to be able to improve their marks so that their high school leaving certificate is at the same level as the South African matric certificate. So as a result, you need to send your school leaving certificate via USAF to make sure that it is at the same level. If the certificates that they give you from USAF is at the same level as the South African matric, then you can use that letter from USAF to be able to apply at South African University. The process to go via USAF is long, tedious, and it can take months. I've even heard of some people that it has taken them years to be able to get their certificate back. As a result, before you apply to any South African university, first put your paperwork through USAF and make sure that you have your certificate first before you apply at the South African university, because you might apply and then they reject you, or they can't process your application because you do not have your USAF certificate with you. So those are the top nursing questions that I've received from you guys over the past couple years. I really hope this will help you to have sort of like catch all of all the nursing questions that you guys might have regarding applying for nursing in South Africa, what the whole process is like. Obviously on my channel there's still a whole lot of other videos that go into detail in all of these questions that I've answered, but this is just a quick guide on all the things that you need to know for you to be able to apply, study, and further your studies in nursing within a South African context. So until next time, have an awesome one. Bye guys.